We're back to Kyoto Wins. My voice is squeaky because I had to sing as Morgan today. But we're gonna be starting Harada's route. This is gonna be fun. The kindest member of the Shinsengumi. How will his route go? I don't know. I'm not gonna even attempt to read that for a thing. Would I like to skip the prologue? Yes. Things are absolutely fine. It's time to skip just about everything. Anyway, our choices is, we're gonna attempt to explain the situation.
大胆だなお前さん。囚われの身分で俺らを呼びつけるなんてよ。で、自分から声をかけてくるなんざ、そろそろ腹も決まったのか。
No, that's not it. I want you to hear me out.
おそらくあんたの事情は汲めないだろう。それでよければ話すといい。
お前の運のなさには同情する。まあ、成仏してくれな。
ほら、男なら諦めが肝心だろ。
They all spoke as if they'd already consigned me to death. It was time to make my choice. Well, the guide says we gave up. I tucked my legs underneath me and sat up as straight and dignified as I could manage.
何か言い残すことはないのか。さっき話を聞けって言ってたよな。
Forget it. He looked surprised by the brevity of my response. Earlier, he told me I should accept my death and rest in peace. His mind was already made up. What chance did I really have? Do what you will. Just get this over with. I don't want to die, but if I told them I was really a girl, then they'd certainly ask why I'd been dressed as a man. There were no ways I could explain without mentioning my father. The possibility of misspeaking could cause my father and Matsumoto-sensei trouble. That thought alone kept my mouth shut.
いい顔だ。覚悟が決まったんだな。
He smiled and laid his hand on the sword at his hip. The one time Harada actually has a need for his sword.
サノ、そこまでだ。この者の処分はまだ決定していない。
だな。ま、こんな度胸のある女、みすみす殺しちまうのはもったいないしな。
Did he just say girl? What? How did you know?
そんなの見りゃ。
ちょっと待てさの。俺の耳には今女とか聞こえたんだが。
男の格好をしてるが、こいつ見るからに女だぜ。わかるだろう。
How did that counter go up?
見りゃって。袴だろ。袴履いてるし。
でもまあ、よく見りゃ細いのもガキなのも女だからだよな。新八さん、認めろよ。
Heisuke, even you didn't know! Todo-san seemed to shrug it off, moving to pat Nagakura on the shoulder. Then he glanced at me.
で、なんで男の格好してるのかとか、その辺の話、俺らに詳しく聞かせてくれよ。
Out of the Baka trio here, the smartest person in this room is Harada. And now, we get to press the skip button again. February. It's only been a week. Oh, we got this scene again. Alright. Anyway, we are going to searched the compound. I took a deep breath, gathered my courage, and stepped out of the room. There's no one here. I looked around. The hall was utterly empty. Then again, since I'd snuck out of my room, it was probably for the best that no one had seen me. Still, I felt a little guilty about it. Perhaps I should have just stayed in my room. If I wandered around the compound, it was likely I'd see something I wasn't supposed to. I'd already stumbled onto one of the Shinsengumi secrets the night I met them. I had no wish to do so again. Unfortunately, we know how the story unfolds. Maybe I should reconsider. After some deliberation, I decided it was best to return to my room. But as I turned to walk back... From near the entrance, I heard... something. Slowly, I peeked around the corner. Walking towards the door, looking as if they would prefer not to be seen, were Harada and Nagakura. Oh. Can I come with you? Maybe if they let me go outside, I could finally start looking for my father.
そりゃ別に構わねえが、お前は楽しくないんじゃねえかな。
連れて行けるかバカ。勝手に許可してんじゃねえよ。
ああ、外出禁止なんだっけな、お前。それより見張りなしで部屋から出てていいのか？
Well, where are you going anyway?
おいおい、ごまかすなよ。まあ、いいけどな。俺らはこれから島原に行くとこだ。
Shimabara? The name was familiar. Wait, isn't that in the red light district? Nagakura shook his head between us and sighed.
女の子に向かって島原に行くとかわざわざ本当のこと言うなよ。
嘘つけねえんだよ俺。知ってんだろ。考えに繰り出すくらい別にやましくもねえし。
お前は酒が目当てだろうから後ろめたくもなんともねえだろうよ。
Nagakura, you going for something other than alcohol?
いや、酒っていうかなんていうか、ほら、お酒って言うだろ。
True, there was luckily no shortage of beautiful women throughout Shimabara. Someone like Harada who visited just for the drinks was a rarity, if I were to guess. But you're going in the afternoon?
真っ昼間から酒飲むのも男のロマンってやつなんじゃねえの？
Harada held a natural charm that seemed to shrug off any judgment over possible impropriety. One of those words is correct. Well, even so, I hardly think it's good to be drinking in the afternoon. Even if it was every man's dream, it didn't feel right to condone it. Two captains drinking during the afternoon would hardly help the Shinsegumi's low public opinion. And it was already low. Then again, perhaps it wasn't my business to think of the Shinsengumi's public reputation.
よ、昼から遊び歩くのはあんまり常識的じゃないってお前の言うこともわかるんだけどよ。近頃の今日は何かと物騒なんだ。俺たち新選組だってうかつに夜遊びできねえ。
True.
だから常識に縛られず行きたい時に行く。真っ昼間から遊びに行くことを迷わねえ。
That didn't really seem right. But even so, on some level, his absurd logic made some sense. After all, everyone needs to relax from time to time, especially if they have the worries of the Shinsengumi. And if they worked at night, then when else would they go out but the afternoon? I was reflecting upon this when Todo-san walked in.
あれ、まさかお前も行くの？
Well, I still haven't received permission to leave the house. I don't want Hijikata-san to get mad at me.
そっか。そいつは残念だな。
You're going to Shimabara too then, Todo-san?
ああ、そうだけど。で、東堂さんとか他人行儀な呼び方やめようぜ。
Well, what should I call you then?
平介でいいよ。みんなも俺のこと平介って呼ぶし、これからしばらく一緒に暮らすんだしよ。それに、そのデスマスもやめようぜ。年も近いからもっと気楽に話してくれよ。
Really? I just didn't want to be rude, Todo-san.
ほら、治ってないぜ。
Alright then, Heisuke.
そうそう。んじゃあ、今日から改めてよろしくな。
It's a pleasure to meet you too, Heisuke. It wasn't anything important, I knew, but something about the exchange made me feel happy. Heisuke had, perhaps unknowingly, cheered me up. But... You're still going to Shimabara then?
そりゃその。でも島原だから女ってわけじゃねえよ。みんなで酒飲んでバカ騒ぎしたい気分なんだ。
お前が女の格好をしてくれるんならそれだけで十分に目の保養なんだけどな。
What?
あ、俺も絶対可愛いと思う。いろいろ落ち着いたら振り袖とか着てみせてくれよな。
You guys, this is just so sudden. It was embarrassing for them to treat me like a girl all of a sudden, as if it just occurred to them. Dressed like a girl. What should I tell them? Yeah. Nope, we can't. Their smiles confused me. Tomboy, let's go. Tomboy, incidentally, because we can't be around the compounds dressed like a girl in a compound full of men. That would be the most horrible thing ever. So, accidental tomboy. Also, we have a sword. No, I can't.
なんでだよ。ちょっと着替えてくれるだけでいいんだぜ。
I know, but it's just that I'm not too comfortable with changing yet.
まあそういうこともあるよな。わかった。無理強いはしないぜ。
ちょっと佐野さん。
Yeah, Harada, you were the one that brought it up.
いいからいいから、そういうことにしとけって。
Once we settled the topic of the appropriateness of my wardrobe, Nagakura shared his opinion.
そういうわけでさしてくれよ。俺らは汗水垂らして今日の治安を守ってんだぜ。
That's not a very convincing excuse. Despite my reservations, I understood the truth. They were partaking in normal activities for men. Besides, who was I to try and stop them in the first place? I certainly had no authority over them. While visiting pleasure quarters in broad daylight wasn't my thing, if the superiors took no issue... I was a guest of the Shinsengumi, and it would be rude for me to try and tell them what to do. But even so, they went out of their way to talk to me until I felt better about the situation. This showed they were good men, with nothing to hide. Alright. I suppose their reasoning made sense to me, and part of me was just envious of them. I too wanted to be free of the staleness in this compound, and search for my father.
土産買ってきてやる。何か食べたいものあるか？
Even though I was still turning the issue at hand in my head, the thought of food made me salivate. Alright then, I'd like some tangerines. Maybe we can eat them together tomorrow afternoon? And now I want some tangerines and I don't have tangerines. Fuck.
そいつはいいな。わかったぜ。
土方さんから外出許可が下りたらさ、お前の好きなとこ連れてってやるから。
Well, thank you. But Heisuke, you don't need to worry, alright? Even if you couldn't take me out now, it's the thought that counts. Thanks for cheering me up.
悪いな。ちゃっくら出かけてくるぜ。
Just as I wave to send those three off.
おや、これからみんなで出かけるのかい？
All of us nonchalantly turned our heads around to see Inoue pacing towards us.
よりによって源さんかよ。
おっと、こいつは参ったな。
They all refused to make eye contact and fell silent, so I responded to Inoue in their stead. Well, I'm not going anywhere, but, I had no idea what else to say. Were they expecting me to cover for them?
ほら、あれだよ、源さん、あれ。みんなで素振りでもしようかなって。
Heisuke quickly warmed to his excuse, as did Nagakura.
そう、それだ、平介。よく言った。今日は天気もいいし、風が暖かいからな。
What they said. After hearing their excuses, Inoue reacted.
いやはや長倉くんたちは熱心だな。せっかくの機会だ。私も付き合わせてくれるかい？
He looked honestly happy, pleased with the dedication of his fellows.
それは。
そうきたか。
Seeing as they were hopeless in getting themselves out of this, I decided to lend a hand. You guys are really going to train? Just then, Heisuke opened his mouth.
あ、ごめん。俺もみんなと素振りしたいけど、今日は先約があるから付き合えないんだった。
Plans?
こいつに豚書の中を案内してやるって約束。そうだったよな。
It was news to me.
なあ、頼む。話を合わせてくれ。
We can't say no to Heisuke. We can never say no to the good boy. He gave me a desperate, somber look with eyes like a sad puppy. I had no choice but to go along. That's right. Yeah.
ああ、そうそう。そうだよな。
His eyes sparkled and he grabbed a hold of my hand and began to walk off. Heisuke had cheered me up earlier, after all. Perhaps in this way, I was returning the favor.
待て、平介。一人だけ逃げようなんざ。
Before he could even finish, Harada interrupted a mischievous grin appearing on his face. In this house, we appreciate Harada as much as we appreciate Nagakura.
俺も付き合ってやるよ。他の大使に絡まれちゃ面倒だろ。
Well, I suppose you have a point.
そうかそうか。原田くんの言うことはもっともだね。
Throw Heisuke's credibility out the window.
彼女のことは二人にお任せするとして。じゃあ長倉くん、我々は中庭に行こうか。
平介のみならず、お前もか佐野。
His knuckles turned white and his face shook with exasperation.
よし、逃げぞ。
What?
新発さんすぐ怒るからな。
Heisuke grabbed my hand and Harada pushed me from behind, and soon we were moving away from the entrance at a rapid clip.
この裏切り者！戻ってこい！
Nagakura's shouts were echoing, but the laughter of the two men caused their eyes to sparkle in kind. I kind of wish they put those two clips together, because they have done it before. So I don't see why they couldn't put the laughs together for that one. It was infectious, and I couldn't help but laugh with them, my worries gradually drifting from me. After the commotion settled, Heisuke and Harada gave me a tour around the headquarters. Nagakura, alternatively, had no such luck. I heard later that he and Inoue spent the rest of the day training, just the two of them. At the end of the day, I think he's a good man.